I guess now we know why Loki always covers his eyes. Hello everyone, how's it going? This week we have another great chapter of One Piece. But before we begin, make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Now without further ado, let's get right into it. First, of course, we have the cover page for this week, where we see that apparently Okiku is now the daimyo of Ringo. And that's about it, so let's move on to the main chapter. We start off this week's chapter with a continuation of the flashback from last week's chapter, where we see how Prince Harald grew up, which led to him looking down on other giants, as well as humans, for being far smaller than him. But then one day, he comes across an island where a female giant is being put on display and being treated as an attraction at a human circus. Harald gets angered by this and attacks the circus in order to free the female giant. But as it turns out, the giant and the humans were actually working together, and so she gets mad at him for saving her. And as a result of this meeting, Harald falls in love with this female giant Ida, and through her influence, he becomes more accepting of other cultures. And that is how his personality shifts from a violent one into a more benevolent one. And then with the help of Ida, he goes around interacting with other cultures before eventually returning to Elbaf and officially informing the citizens that he has decided to form more diplomatic relations with the neighboring countries. And so he begins doing just that. And then meanwhile, him and Ida have a child, which is Hiruddin. But as we know, he is unable to marry her due to her being a giant that's not from Elbaf originally. And so the elders set Harald up with his actual official wife, whose name is Astrid, and she is from a pure lineage. And she is also a lot more concerned with the luxury of being a queen. Meanwhile, Harald continues his journey to establish trade relations with the surrounding countries of Elbaf. And apparently he has also visited Fishman Island during this journey. And it is while he is out on one of these journeys that Astrid gives birth to Prince Loki. However, when she lays eyes on him, she is immediately frightened by his appearance and immediately disavows him, even going so far as to tell her attendants to inform the country that her son was stillborn. After which, she throws the newborn Loki down to the underworld and prepares to leave the castle and go back to her hometown because she no longer wants to bear any other children. But before she can do that, she is informed that Loki has apparently climbed up from the underworld and has also defeated the monsters in the underworld despite still being a newborn. And Astrid falls ill from the shock when she finds out about this. And while she is bedridden, she keeps telling her attendants to get rid of Loki, and then seemingly makes up a prophecy about Loki eventually growing up to kill King Harald as a way of getting rid of him. And meanwhile, we get a scene of Harald being troubled by the world government interfering with his trade plans, and also an wholesome scene of Ida and Hiruddin, which greatly contrasts the relationship between Loki and Astrid, which eventually leads to all the misfortune that would befall Elbaf being attributed to Loki's curse. And that is how the chapter ends. All in all, this was a great chapter of One Piece, in which we found out about how Harald came to be known as the Benevolent King, as well as a potential hint about how he came to be involved with the world government. And also, we found out what led to Loki becoming known as the Accursed Prince, as well as a reveal as to why he always covers up his eyes. With everything that happened in this chapter, I can't wait to find out just how Harald came to be involved with the world government, and also what actually happened, which led to Loki having to kill his own father. And with that, I guess I will see you when the next chapter comes out. Once again, make sure to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Bye bye.